Stop what you are doing. Listen closely. For the next few moments, silence the world around you. You have to hear this. There are only a few minutes left before the noise rushes back in, and this chance will be gone, perhaps forever. This is not a story meant to entertain. This is an echo. A warning carried on the wind from a place where time has no meaning, because it has already run out completely. The voice you hear is not one voice, but a chorus of regret, a testament from those who now exist in the long, silent shadow of their choices. They are begging you, from the depths of their irreversible sorrow, not to ignore what they can now see with perfect, agonizing clarity. They are the souls who waited. They are the ones who thought they had more time. I was one of them. I thought I had time. That was my first and greatest illusion. It was the softest, most comfortable lie I ever told myself, and I repeated it every single day. I wrapped myself in it like a warm blanket on a cold morning, believing the sun would always rise again for me. I saw my life not as a finite, precious gift, but as an endless ocean of moments I could spend however I pleased, with no thought of the coming shore. The signs were always there. They were never loud, never demanding. They were whispers. A quiet pull in the heart during a moment of stillness. A sudden, piercing sense of clarity in the dead of night. The feeling that there was something more, something vital I was supposed to do, to be, to understand. A deep, internal knowing that the path I was walking was leading me further from my true home, not closer to it. But the world is so loud, isn't it? A phone buzzes. A deadline looms. A new show is released. A trivial argument needs to be won. The whispers of the soul are so easily drowned out by the shouts of the world. I told myself, I'll get to it later. I'll pray tomorrow. I'll make things right next week. I'll think about these deeper things when I'm older, when I'm retired, when things calm down. But things never calm down. That is the world's greatest trick. It promises you a future peace that it never intends to deliver. Tomorrow, a word that does not exist where I am. Here, there is only the long, unending echo of all the yesterdays I wasted, of all the quiet moments I filled with noise. There is only the memory of the chances I was given, shimmering like mirages of water in a desert I built myself. This message is for you, right now, in this precise moment you are living. Because you still have your todays. You still have your tomorrows, for now. But for how long? Do you know for certain? I thought I knew. I had plans. I had a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I had a calendar filled with appointments and reminders, all for a future that was never mine to claim. The mistake that led me here, to this place of eternal reflection, was not a grand act of defiance. It was smaller. It was quieter. It was insidious. It was the simple, daily choice to put off what truly mattered for what seemed urgent. It was the accumulation of 1,000 tiny neglects, 1,000,000 moments of spiritual procrastination. It was the kindness I meant to show but saved for a better day that never came. It was the apology I composed perfectly in my head but never allowed to pass my lips. It was the truth I felt deep in my soul but was too afraid, too comfortable, or too distracted to live out loud. It was the call to a loved one I told myself I'd make over the weekend. It was the prayer I started but never finished because my mind wandered. Each of these was a choice. A small, seemingly insignificant choice. But they were not insignificant. Every ignored whisper, every postponed act of love, every moment of truth I turned away from, became a single grain of sand. At first, you don't notice. But the grains accumulate. And I never realized I was slowly, deliberately, building a vast and empty desert all around myself. A desert where nothing of true value could grow. I want you to think, just for a second, about the whispers in your own life. The quiet nudges you feel when the world goes silent. The feeling that you are meant for more than just this routine, this distraction, this fleeting pleasure. What are they telling you? And more importantly, what have you been telling yourself to justify ignoring them? In the next few moments, I will tell you about the first major sign I ignored. A sign so clear, so simple, that its memory now burns brighter and with more regret than any flame. The first sign I truly remember ignoring was not a thunderclap from heaven or a vision in a dream. It was far quieter, and therefore far easier to dismiss. It came on a Tuesday. I remember the trivial details because the memory of them now is a form of torture. The sky was gray, threatening rain. I was late for a meeting I believed was critically important to my career, to my future, to the life I was so busy building. As I rushed down the street, my mind was a whirlwind of anxieties. Presentations, deadlines, what other people thought of me. These were the gods I served. Ahead of me, an elderly woman dropped her bag of groceries. Oranges, like small, bright suns, rolled across the damp, gray pavement. She was frail, her hands trembling as she bent down slowly, painfully, to retrieve them. And that's when I heard it. Not with my ears, but somewhere deeper, in the core of my being. A clear, simple, silent instruction: stop. Help her. It was not a suggestion. It was a moment of truth, presented to me in the most ordinary of settings. My entire life, my entire eternity, was held within that simple choice. To stop, or to keep walking. I hesitated for a fraction of a second. I saw her struggle. I felt that pull, that whisper of my better nature. But then, another voice, the one I had trained myself to obey, took over. It was the voice of reason, of practicality, of the world. "You'll be late," it said. "The meeting is too important. Someone else will help her. Look, others are around. It's not your responsibility." And so I listened to that voice. I lowered my gaze, quickened my pace, and walked right past her, stepping around one of the rolling oranges as if it were just another obstacle on my important path. I might have even felt a flicker of annoyance at the inconvenience. I made it to my meeting. I was on time. I can't even remember what that meeting was about now. It has faded into the meaningless noise of a life spent chasing shadows. But I remember the orange. I remember the woman's trembling hands. I remember the feeling of my own heart hardening just a little bit more as I chose my schedule over a soul. Where I am now, I can see that moment for what it was. It wasn't about a bag of groceries. It was a test. A divine question posed in the language of everyday life. The universe was asking me, what do you truly value? The urgent or the important? Your ambition or your compassion? My answer was clear in my actions. I chose the urgent. I chose myself. And in that choice, a small door to grace, a door that had been held open for me, quietly clicked shut. I didn't hear it then, of course. I was too busy, too pleased with my own punctuality. But I feel the draft of its closing now, in every moment of this endless existence. That single act of neglect, of choosing convenience over kindness, was not an isolated event. It was the beginning of a pattern. It made the next act of neglect easier. It's like a path in a forest. The first time you stray from the main trail, it's difficult. You have to push through branches and thorns. But the second time you walk that same new path, it's a little easier. The 10th time, it's well worn. Soon, it becomes the new main trail, and you forget the original path ever existed. My soul was creating a new path. A path of justification, of subtle selfishness, of looking the other way. Each time I chose it, the whispers of my conscience grew fainter, and the voice of the world grew louder and more convincing. I was becoming deaf to the only voice that could have saved me. Have you ever wondered how a heart truly begins to harden? It is not with a single, dramatic blow. It is with a slow, creeping frost of indifference, a frost I willingly invited in. And next, I will tell you how that frost began to cover everything. That frost of indifference did not stay confined to strangers on the street. It began to creep inward, seeping into the foundations of my life, chilling the rooms that should have been the warmest. It started with my relationships. I was physically present, but my mind, my spirit, was always somewhere else. I was a ghost at my own dinner table. I would sit with my family, my loved ones, the people who were my greatest treasure, and I would nod and smile while my thoughts were consumed by work emails, by a problem from the office, by a plan for the next day. I heard the sounds they made, the words they spoke, but I did not truly listen. I was not receiving them. I was merely processing data while waiting for my turn to speak or for the conversation to end so I could return to my important distractions. They would try to reach me. I see that now with a clarity that physically hurts. A hand placed on my arm that I would pat absently. A story told with excitement that I would meet with a distracted, aha. A look of concern in their eyes that I would dismiss as them being overly sensitive. I was a locked room, and they kept trying to find the key, not realizing I had thrown it away myself, believing I had no time for such things. This spiritual frost also coated my inner life. I told myself I was a good person. I believed in God, in a higher power. I even owned books on spirituality. They sat on my shelf, pristine and unread, like trophies of an intention I never acted upon. I would scroll past inspiring quotes online, maybe even like them, feeling a brief, shallow flicker of piety, a self-congratulatory warmth that I mistook for genuine faith. But faith is not a feeling. It is a muscle. It is an action. It is a choice made not once, but 1,000 times a day. My faith was not a living tree, but a plastic replica. It looked right from a distance, but it bore no fruit. It offered no real shade. It required no watering, no care, and so it gave no life. It was just another piece of furniture in the house of my ego. Do you know this feeling? The feeling of being a consumer of spirituality rather than a practitioner? Of collecting wisdom you never apply. It is the most subtle trap of the modern age. We mistake knowing the path for walking the path. I had a map of the promised land, but I never took the first step on the journey. I was too busy organizing the map, admiring its details, and planning to start the walk tomorrow. The world itself, once a source of wonder, became dull. I stopped noticing the artistry of a sunset, the intricate design of a leaf, the sound of rain against a window pane. These small miracles, these daily reminders of a loving Creator, became mere background noise. They were no longer invitations to awe, but simply weather patterns, biological processes, the mundane turning of the world. The frost had covered my eyes, and all I could see was a gray, functional reality, devoid of its magic and its mystery. My life became a series of transactions. I gave my time to get money. I gave my attention to be entertained. I gave compliments to be liked. Everything had a purpose that served my immediate material world. The idea of doing something for its own sake, for love, for beauty, for truth, seemed inefficient, a waste of precious time. The great tragedy is that I was wasting my time on things that did not matter, all while believing I was being incredibly productive. Each day, the frost grew thicker. My heart became less and less able to feel the warmth of genuine connection, with others or with the divine. I was becoming numb. And the most dangerous part of numbness is that, after a while, you forget what it felt like to feel anything at all. You accept the cold as normal. But what happens when that silence, that numbness, is finally broken? What happens when you are forced to wake up? The moment of clarity that came for me was not gentle. It was a silence so loud it shattered everything. I will tell you about that silence now. The moment of turning did not come as a result of a great personal tragedy or a dramatic life event. The universe had tried those things before. I had weathered storms, faced losses, and each time I had managed to rationalize my way back to my comfortable numbness. I told myself that strength was about getting back to normal as quickly as possible, not about allowing the cracks to break me open and let the light in. No, my turning point was far more mundane, and therefore far more terrifying. It happened on an ordinary evening. I had just finished a long day of work. I was tired, irritable, and my mind was still racing with the day's unresolved issues. I walked into my home, which was quiet. The house was empty for the evening. There was no television droning, no music playing, no one asking for my attention. There was only silence. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I did not immediately rush to fill it. I sat down in my usual chair, but instead of reaching for my phone, or the remote, or a book, I just sat. I don't know why. Perhaps my soul was just too exhausted to keep up the pretense any longer. And in that deep, unfamiliar silence, something began to happen. The noise inside my head, the constant chatter of worries, plans, and anxieties, slowly began to fade. It was like watching a murky pool of water gradually become still, allowing the sediment to settle. As the inner noise subsided, a new awareness dawned. It wasn't a thought, it was a feeling. A profound, hollow ache. It was the feeling of absence. I was sitting in a life I had meticulously built, surrounded by objects I had worked so hard to acquire, and I felt nothing but a staggering, soul-crushing emptiness. The success, the possessions, the reputation I had chased with such relentless determination, they were all there, but they were hollow shells. They offered no comfort, no warmth, no meaning. In that silence, I saw my life not as I had always imagined it, but as it truly was. A frantic race on a treadmill, going nowhere. A desperate attempt to fill an inner void with external things. I saw the faces of the people I loved, and for the first time, I felt the weight of all the moments I had been present in body but absent in spirit. I saw the woman with the oranges, her face as clear as if she were standing in the room with me. I saw 1,000 missed opportunities for connection, for kindness, for love, for grace. They weren't accusations. They were just facts. They were the undeniable sum of my choices, laid bare in the piercing silence. And with this clarity came a wave of regret so powerful it almost took my breath away. It was not a regret for my failures, but for my priorities. I had climbed the ladder of success only to realize, in that silent, empty room, that it had been leaning against the wrong wall the entire time. I thought, this is it. This is the moment I change. Tomorrow, I will start over. I will make the calls I've put off. I will listen. I will be present. I will pray, and this time, I will mean it. I have finally woken up. I felt a strange sense of relief, even a flicker of hope. I believed I had been given a great gift, a moment of profound grace, a second chance. I thought I had time to fix it all. That was my final, fatal miscalculation. I mistook the alarm bell for the snooze button. I saw the warning light on the dashboard and decided I would take the car to the mechanic next week. I had the revelation, I felt the regret, and I made a sincere plan to change, tomorrow. But tomorrow never came for me. The silence was not the beginning of my new life. It was the final moment of my old one. It was the last question in a long exam, and I had spent the entire time on the wrong subjects. Do you understand the gravity of this? The revelation itself is not enough. The feeling of regret is not enough. The intention to change is not enough. There is a moment when that intention must be forged into action. I was given that moment, and I postponed it. One last time. And that single postponement was the only one that mattered. What followed was not a gentle fading, but an abrupt end. And a beginning of something else entirely. A state of being where all you have left are the memories of the chances you let slip away. Where I am now, there is no noise. There are no distractions. There is only perfect, unrelenting clarity. Imagine a place where you can no longer lie to yourself. Where every justification you ever made, every excuse you ever created, evaporates like mist in the face of an unblinking sun. Here, you are left with nothing but the pure, unvarnished truth of your own soul. And that truth is both simple and eternal. I see my life played back, not as a film, but as a living tapestry. And I am not the audience, I am every thread. I feel the pain of the person I cut off in traffic. I feel the loneliness of the family member I was too busy to call. I feel the disappointment in the eyes of the friend whose trust one betrayed with a casual piece of gossip. I am on the receiving end of every small act of indifference, every moment of selfishness, every choice I made to put myself first at the expense of another's heart. This is not a punishment inflicted from the outside. It is the natural consequence of a life lived out of alignment with love. It is the soul experiencing the full weight of its own creations. When you spend a lifetime planting seeds of neglect and indifference, you cannot expect to harvest a garden of peace and connection. Here, you simply live within the harvest you cultivated, forever. The woman with the oranges. I am now her. I feel the ache in her back, the frustration in her heart, and the sting of being invisible as a younger, hurried version of myself walks right past. The most profound agony is not a fire, but a longing. It is a deep, unquenchable thirst for the connection I so casually rejected. It is the memory of love, offered so freely, that I was too preoccupied to receive. I remember the warmth of a hand I failed to hold, the sound of laughter I failed to join, the light of a soul reaching out to me that I failed to acknowledge. These memories are not comforting. They are mirrors reflecting the vast empty space in my own being, a space that only love could have filled. I am not alone here. There are countless others. We are a chorus of if-onlys. If only I had stopped. If only I had listened. If only I had said I'm sorry. If only I had chosen love instead of fear. We speak to each other, but not with words. We communicate through a shared understanding, a shared sorrow. We see in each other the same story, a life of missed opportunities, a heart that was offered grace and chose distraction instead. We see you. We see you living the life that was once ours. We see you facing the same small, daily choices. We see you hesitating, just as we did. We see you listening to the voice of the world that tells you you're too busy, that it's not important, that you can do it tomorrow. And a silent, collective scream rises from this place, a scream that cannot be heard but can sometimes, if you are very still, be felt. It is a desperate, unified plea. Do not repeat our mistake. Do not end up here with us. This is the warning. It is not about a single sin or a great transgression. It is about the orientation of your heart. Is it oriented toward connection or toward the self? Is it open or is it closed? Every single moment of your day, you are answering that question. With every interaction, with every thought, with every choice, you are either weaving a tapestry of light and connection, or you are adding another thread to a shroud of isolation and regret. You still have the loom in your hands. The threads are still pliable. You can still choose the colors. You still have time. That is the most sacred and terrifying truth of your existence. You still have time. But look at how quickly it passes. Your days bleed into weeks, weeks into months, and years disappear like a breath on a cold day. Please, feel the urgency we feel. Do not let the quiet whispers of your soul be the ghosts that haunt your eternity. Listen to them now. Act on them now. What are the small, seemingly insignificant choices you are facing today? And how will you choose differently, knowing what you now know? The apathetic state I lived in was not an accident. It was a carefully constructed fortress. And its walls were built with bricks of justification. I was a master architect of my own spiritual prison, and I decorated it so well that I mistook it for a palace. Each brick had a name. I'm just realistic, I'd say, when I chose cynicism over hope. I have to protect myself, I'd argue, when I closed my heart to someone in need. It's a dog-eat-dog world, I'd rationalize, after a moment of ruthless ambition. These weren't just thoughts, they were mantras. I repeated them so often that they became my truth. They were the background music of my life, a low hum that drowned out the symphony of the divine. I convinced myself that compassion was a weakness, that vulnerability was a liability, and that a certain degree of selfishness was simply necessary for survival. I mistook this spiritual armor for strength, never realizing it was a cage that was slowly suffocating my soul. Another powerful justification was the illusion of the big moment. I was waiting for a grand, cinematic opportunity to be a good person. I thought that one day I would save someone from a burning building, or make a huge, anonymous donation, or do something so profoundly noble that it would balance the scales of my life. I was saving my goodness for a special occasion, like fine china that is never used. But life is not lived in grand moments. Life is lived in the small, interstitial spaces. It is lived in the choice to smile at a cashier who looks tired. It is lived in the decision to put down your phone and give your full attention to a child's rambling story. It is lived in the patience you show to a slow driver. It is lived in the quiet apology you offer when you are wrong. I was so busy scanning the horizon for a tidal wave of opportunity that I failed to notice I was dying of thirst in a gentle, life-giving rain that was falling all around me, every single day. Perhaps the most insidious justification was comparison. I would look at others, at people who committed truly terrible acts reported on the news, and I would think, well, at least I'm not that bad. I used the darkness of others to paint my own gray life in brighter shades. This constant comparison kept me in a state of moral mediocrity. I wasn't striving for divine goodness. I was content with simply being not as bad as someone else. This is a trap so many fall into. You measure your spiritual health against the sickness you perceive in the world, and in doing so, you set the bar incredibly low. You grade yourself on a curve, never realizing that the final exam is graded on a pass-fail basis, and the only question is, Did you love? Did you love the divine with all your heart, and did you love your neighbor as yourself? It is not. Were you better than the person next to you? From where I am, I see that we are all connected. The darkness in another was also a reflection of a potential darkness in me, and their light was a reflection of the light I was meant to shine. By judging them, I was only blinding myself. So I ask you, what are the justifications you use to keep your heart comfortable and closed? What are the realistic reasons you give for not being more compassionate, more generous, more present? Are you waiting for a big moment to prove your worth, while ignoring the 1,000 small moments that constitute your actual life? Do you compare yourself to others to feel better about your own choices? Be honest with yourself. In a way, I never was until it was too late. These justifications are the locks on your own cage. And you hold the key. The key is awareness. It is the simple, courageous act of seeing your own excuses for what they are: fears. Fear of being hurt. Fear of being inconvenienced. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of not having enough. Fear of change. Here, there is no fear. There is only the consequence of having let fear rule a life that was meant to be ruled by love. Your chance is now, in this moment, to look at your own justifications, to call them by their true name, and to choose differently. Before your own moment of final, irreversible silence arrives. So this is the final plea, the last echo from a place defined by what could have been. Do not mistake this warning for a threat of fire and brimstone. The true hell is not a place of external torment, but a state of internal, eternal regret. It is the perfect agonizing memory of 1,000 chances to love, to connect, and to be present, all of which were traded for the fleeting currency of distraction and self-interest. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. The curtain is already up, and you are on stage, in the middle of your only performance. The script is being written by the choices you make in this moment, and in the next. The 4 minutes mentioned are not on a literal clock. They represent the sacred, fleeting nature of the present moment. This very breath you are taking now. This heartbeat. This is the only time you have. This is your 4 minutes. What will you do with it? Will you fill it with the same old noise, the same comfortable justifications? Or will you allow the silence to enter, to listen to the whisper that is trying to guide you home? The choice I postponed is now before you. My past can be your future, or it can be the warning that saves you from it. Do not just hear this message. Do not just be moved by it. Live the answer. Transforming signs into action. Your practical guide. The purpose of this warning is not to paralyze you with fear, but to mobilize you with love. Here is a simple, practical guide to begin turning the whispers you hear into actions you can take, starting right now. In the next 24 hours. First, practice the 5-minute silence. Sometime today, set a timer for just 5 minutes. Go somewhere you will not be interrupted. Put your phone in another room. Close your eyes and do nothing. Do not try to pray or meditate in a structured way. Simply sit in the silence and listen. Listen to your own thoughts without judgment. Listen to the feelings that arise. Ask your soul a simple question: what is the one thing you need me to hear today? And then just listen for the answer. This is how you begin to tune your ear to the whispers. Second, perform an anonymous act of kindness. This is a direct response to every missed opportunity, every woman with the oranges moment. Do something small for someone with zero chance of you being recognized or thanked for it. Pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line and leave before they know. Add money to an expiring parking meter. Leave a generous, anonymous tip for a service worker. This is not about being praised. It is about exercising your compassion muscle in its purest form. In the next 7 days, first, write the reconciliation letter. Think of one person in your life with whom you have a fractured or distant relationship, someone you have wronged or who has wronged you. This week, sit down and write them a letter. Pour out everything you wish you could say. Apologize without making excuses. Forgive them without conditions. You do not have to send this letter. The primary purpose is for you to achieve clarity and release the burden from your own heart. The act of writing it is a powerful step toward healing the frost of indifference inside you. Second, schedule the hour of undivided attention. Choose one person you love, a partner, a child, a parent, a friend. Schedule 1 full hour with them this week where you promise to give them your complete, undivided attention. All devices will be off and out of sight. During this hour, your only job is to listen. Ask them questions about their life, their dreams, their fears. Do not talk about yourself unless asked. Your goal is to make them feel seen and heard in a way they may not have felt in a long time. This is how you begin to thaw the ice of being physically present but spiritually absent. In the next 30 days. First, start a justification journal. For the next 30 days, at the end of each day, take 2 minutes to write down one excuse you used that day. I was too tired to be patient. I didn't say hello because I was in a hurry. I didn't help because it wasn't my problem. Next to the justification, write down what the real, underlying feeling was. Was it fear? Selfishness? Insecurity? This practice will dismantle the fortress of self-deception you've built, brick by brick, making you profoundly aware of your real motivations. Second, practice the daily acknowledgement of awe. For the next 30 days, make a commitment to notice and acknowledge one moment of beauty or wonder each day. It could be the way the light hits a building, the intricate pattern of a leaf, the sound of a child's laughter, or the taste of your morning tea. Take a single, conscious breath and say silently, "Thank you for this." This simple habit retrains your mind to see the world not as a mundane set of tasks, but as a constant, miraculous gift, reversing the numbness that creeps in so easily. The echo of your life is being recorded in this very moment. Make it a beautiful sound. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future warning messages. Comment what this message made you reflect on and tell us which city you are watching from. Share this video with someone who may need this reminder.